Hi, I'm Kate and I make junk journals, and today we are going to make a paper snippet roll. Hey, welcome back. And I know your first thought is probably, oh my gosh, that's the coolest shirt I've ever seen. Well, it's actually a dress, and fine, I'll show you the whole thing. So this is actually my cowboy cat in space riding a shark that's barfing a rainbow. And I know what you're thinking, where is the unicorn horn on the shark? Well, don't worry, that's nothing a little puffy paint can't fix. And just in case this isn't cool enough, it's on the back too, so that when I walk away, people can take a look at it. I saw this shirt online and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that so much. And my sister bought it last year for my birthday and it makes me laugh. I think it's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. So today, let's make a snippet roll. I'm really excited about this. So I've made one time before. The one I made is a little bit more vintage style. And basically you just make a long collage strip of paper and then you can cut off sections of it to use it for different things. You can use it as a cluster or a pocket or a tuck. So this used to be on there as a big strip and then I chopped it off. Now the top of this is way more heavily decorated than the bottom because I kind of wanted to show the progression for that other video I did where we did the junk journal vocabulary. And this is so fun and I enjoyed it so much that I really just want to make another one. And I think it would be a lot of fun for the new journal we're making. Let's get some paper. I'm just gonna grab some random pages for kind of the foundation. It doesn't really matter what kind because it's all gonna pretty much be covered up. So I'll just grab, maybe I don't want it too busy. Since we're gonna add so much to it, I don't want our fun additions to get lost. So here I have these different sizes and I am gonna just choose a couple. Let's do this one, probably just the more plain ones. So I'm just going to pick a random width, somewhere between like 2 and 3 inches. Probably something like that is good. What is that? 2 1/4 inches. That seems about right. So I'm just going to fold this so that I can kind of get a line from where I want to cut it. And I think I'm just gonna fold it back and forth and then I'm gonna rip it. There we go. Then I get that nice little frayed edge. Okay, so I've got one piece, but we want to make this a long paper snippet roll. So let's see, that goes almost to that edge. So I'm just gonna do the same thing, kind of fold this just like that. I went a little crazy with my ripping, but that's okay. It's all part of it. So there we go. I've got 2 pieces, and should we go a little longer or is that gonna be good enough? Let's do just a little bit of pink right here. So I have these 3 pieces and I'm just going to glue them together to kind of create one long little collage roll for our paper snippet roll. So I'm going to use a glue stick today and I'll just kind of put some glue at the top of that. And because glue sticks take a little bit longer to dry, I'm going to put a little bit of washi tape on the in-between where it's connecting, just so that it doesn't slide around while it's drying. And then that will be our first little layer of texture. So let's slide this down and do the same thing with this. Just put a little glue, put that on there, and a little bit of washi tape. So now our strip is connected, and you could go on and on forever. And if I had more table room and more time, I totally would. But this is good enough today, and it's already longer than the one I made before, so I think it'll give us a lot to do. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get some other scrapbook paper, some of the ones I didn't choose from before. Okay, so now that I've got my little pile of scraps, I'm just gonna take a little piece and just kind of tear it off. And then I'm gonna just put some glue on the back and just put that down somewhere, wherever I feel like. And for this base kind of layering that I'm doing, I might cover everything I'm putting down up. So I don't have to worry too much about the design or placing it just right. I do kind of want to space it out, and you know, if something looks better, then I'll obviously try to make it look good, but this isn't exactly the design part, it's just kind of the base. You get the general idea. Let me do this part in fast motion and then we can get to the next step. Okay, now that I have that first layer down, I'm just gonna grab a different piece of scrapbook paper and the same thing. Just kind of splotch it all over and see what happens. So I'm gonna go something with kind of a different color so we can kind of start shaking it up a little bit. So let's do this one. Okay, I think that's enough for that color. So let's just keep picking colors. And I tried to kind of stay in the same scheme. Like you can see, pretty much all my journals right now are kind of that, you know, light pink with a little bit of teals and blues and greens. So I find it really helpful to buy paper packs or kind of work in the same themes and colors, because then everything kind of goes together and then I don't have to worry about coordinating quite as much. So I do like them to be different, but I do like them all to kind of be the same vibe. You know, this is like happy and springy and cute and floral. But if I wasn't doing this, then I might have everything, you know, be more blocky and bold, or maybe desaturated and muted. But I feel like tones and contrast level are probably the most important when it comes to coordinating, more than like topic or theme. And sometimes adjectives are a little bit easier. Like if you just think of like cute, bright, happy, springy, then I can get those things. Or whatever adjectives sound like things that you would like. And you don't necessarily have to have like an exact color or tone template, or, you know, be that strict with it. Basically the vibe. And also, like, are you gonna go more scrapbooky, or is it all actual junk, or is it a mix? And if it's a mix, then does the scrapbook stuff kind of have a vintage or junky feel to it? So sometimes when things feel eclectic, but they still look like a work of art, there's usually something that is tying them together. Something that's not just theme and subject. Something like contrast, tone, and it's usually how bold, modern, saturated, vintage, desaturated that it is. And once you kind of figure out what style you're most drawn to, it's really nice to just try to mostly get supplies that are that kind, because then all your stuff goes together really well. And then it just makes the creating process that much simpler, because then you can just grab what looks good to you and go for it without having to make quite as many decisions. Oh my gosh, this is the nicest project ever. I love it so much. It is like crafting therapy at its finest. There's really not a whole lot of thinking involved right now. I might need to be just a snippet roll maker from now on instead of making whole junk journals, because I'm pretty sure I could do this all day long. It's also really nice because I'm not putting it directly in a journal or using it yet. And when it's done, if there's like a piece I don't like, I can just not use that part of it. So there's really like no pressure, and you can just kind of try things, grab things, and play with paper. And some of these little edges are kind of sticking up, and I actually don't mind that. I kind of feel like a snippet roll should be a little bit more untamed, just kind of seems scrappy and kind of bursting out a little bit. So if all the edges don't lay down perfectly smooth, as long as they're glued on pretty solidly, I think it's kind of fun and adds a little dimension and a little more chaos feeling. Oh, anytime I'm ever feeling stressed or wound up, I should just do this, because I can like tell I'm like all my troubles are just melting away, and I'm just crafting on a puffy white cloud of snippet roll bliss. Okay, I think that is good for now. I still have a few other things I want to add to it as kind of the base, so that's enough scrapbook paper. So this is looking pretty good so far. See, it's still pretty blendy in that there's nothing really that is the main focus or that's loud or grabbing attention. There's no focal point, that's the word I'm looking for. And we haven't put any sort of embellishment or anything, so there's still lots of fun stuff to do. But before we go on to embellishments, I want to add a few more things that are more foundational. So I have some, what is this, a paper placemat? It's kind of like a doily, but big. Napkin? Is this, I don't know what this is. Whatever this is, I have this. Then I have some leftover doily scraps from another project. Some more little doily stuff. And then I have some napkins and tissue paper that I wanted to include. So we'll put these somewhere. Okay, so let's start with these doily pieces, and I'm just going to grab my scissors and cut a fairly straight line just off that little side. Dab some glue, and then we'll just kind of place this down just like those papers. Okay, and then we'll just take another little piece, cut that down, pat that with glue. And I'm just trying to get as much depth and layers so that it's just, there's really a lot going on. And it's very busy, but like I said, kind of blendy and not with a strong focal point and not a ton of contrast. And if I did have a lot of contrast, I'd want it kind of even contrast throughout the whole thing, but just to where nothing is quite standing out yet. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut this one down a little bit more, and I think I'm gonna kind of tear this just so that I can have a little bit more pieces to work with. Okay, and now I'm gonna decoupage some of this tissue paper and these napkins down. So what I will do is just kind of grab my glue stick and find whatever place I kind of wanted to add that to. So we'll put some right here. So I'm just gonna kind of smear my glue down, and then I'm gonna rip off a piece about the size that I want to, and I'll just lay that down on there. And then I'm gonna just finish it off by putting some glue on top to kind of seal that down. And then I'll just pick another spot and do it again, smearing some of that glue down. And I'm just hunting for some of the places where the background is maybe peeking through more than I want, or anything that just looks like it could use an extra little layer. And really don't be afraid to cover up what you put down. You can't get attached to your bottom layers because I might not see any of this. I just need it to be peeking through the back. So I don't want to get hung up on any certain design or a piece of paper I really want to see go through, or just slapping stuff down and having fun. Okay, so now I'm gonna take the napkin and do the same thing. Just kind of tear off a little piece and decoupage that on as well. And I love this because this napkin is gonna add kind of a different texture, and it's gonna be really nice to get just a lot of that good yummy texture and variety. It'll just be way more interesting to both look at and to handle and feel the different textures. This tissue paper is also cool because it has this metallic-y thing, it has a different texture, and then also it has a transparent background. So, I mean, it's not completely transparent, it's a little bit opaque, but when this kind of gets glued down, I'll be able to see through to the background behind it, and then some of those layers will be able to kind of peek through, and it will just kind of add that much more to the texture and the dimension. Okay, let's do at least one more piece right here. Oh, I never used this yet. Let's add some of this. I'm gonna cut off a piece and then just kind of tear these off. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I just think I'm gonna just repeat that the whole time. I'm like, how many times have I just said, this is so relaxing? I said it a million times already. I'm gonna say it a million times again because it is. This must be my happy place. What is it that just makes this the best thing to do ever? You know what? Oh, I'm getting too sticky. I'm stickier than the paper is. Oh well. I'm gonna pull more off if I try again. We'll just let those little pieces be up there and roll up these little sticky clumps. Throw them away. Okay, so this is looking way cool. So you see there's a lot more texture, a lot more going on. You can't really tell what paper we started out with. It's just kind of scrappy, happy craziness. So now that we're at this point, I'm going to put away my glue for a minute, and I'm gonna get out my stamp stuff. So I just brought a handful of texture stamps today. Get my inks out, and I'm probably gonna mostly be using gold. Oh my gosh, okay, I need to wash my hands. I'm like way too sticky. I'm not gonna be able to do anything until I wash my hands. I'll be right back. Washed my hands, and I found some Diet Dr. Pepper, so this is getting even better by the minute. Relax and enter your happy place. Okay, where was I? Oh yes, stamping. So I picked these stamps to bring today because they're really good background-y stamps. So I just have some spots and a little ring of dots, more spots. Apparently I think spots are what I need for background stuff. Wavy lines, little stampy things. By stampy things, I mean like post office stampy things. Cross and star, swirly swirl, and some plants. So I'm going to take, did I forget my acrylic block? Oh no, I left my acrylic block at home. Okay, well, I will show you the embarrassing way that I have stamped up until the point where I got my nice acrylic blocker. So I'm just gonna put it on the lid of this, which doesn't work out so well because it is slightly rounded, but I'm going to try it. If I learned anything from the last time I tried to stamp on camera, it's that I need to pat it and not rub it. Oh, I think I'm supposed to put it there and dab it like this. People told me be aggressive. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm a really bad stamper. So this is a no judgment zone and I'm getting better. Thank you for your comments. If anybody else has stamping tips, love to hear it. But I'm just gonna take one of my texture stamps and just put it randomly around and get some gold on there. Can you see that little gold stamp? Man, you cannot see it shine. Man, it's too bad to live in camera land because in real life, that looks really pretty. Stampity stamp stamp. Gold on there. And do another little squish. Some more gold. I love this gold. Everything should be gold. Stamp it somewhere else. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. And you know, what this is doing is quite subtle, and though it is more metallic-y for me than it is for you, it is still not a big bold thing that I'm doing. It's just, again, just adding lots and lots of subtle dimensionality, texture, depth. Okay, what's next? I'm gonna grab this. It's just like some speckled dots. And I think I'm gonna do my speckled eggs for the dots. It'll be so speckly perfect. There we go, just some blue dots. Let's keep that going. And little by little, we just keep piling on so many subtle things that it becomes a beautiful, messy masterpiece. Let's do these circles, and let's make them pink with tattered rose. Let's do swirly guy. This one is like one of my first stamps, and I've used it so much, and I probably have not treated it very well, but it's one of my favorite ones. I always try to look for very generic stamps so that I could use them for lots of different things. Yeah, love me some swirly stamp. Okay, that looks good. What should we do next? Oh, I know, my glitter pen. I love this so much. It's just a clear paint pen with sparkles, and so it just makes everything shimmery. This part is gonna be boring for you and amazing for me because you can't really see the shimmers through camera, but I can, and it is the best thing ever. Anyway, I'm just gonna basically paint wherever I feel and just give it that sparkly shimmer shine. I love this so much. Everything should always sparkle. Can you see that shine? Kinda. Do you see that? Okay, is everything sufficiently shiny and sparkly? I believe so. Okay, so now that this is totally awesome, textured, layered, scrappy wonderfulness, we can start embellishing it. So I am just gonna grab random cute things that I have, and I'm gonna start with things that are a little bit more basic, things that have more shape, but things that maybe aren't a focal point. I'll just make a pile of everything I think of as kind of background ephemera, and then we'll just start slapping it on everywhere. Okay, so this is good for now. Maybe I'll start with some washi tape, and we'll just start putting these embellishments just kind of randomly on there. Okay, and now I'm gonna move on to some of these bigger pieces, and I'm just gonna snip a little piece off and stick it on somewhere. And so now I want to start being a little bit more mindful of composition and, you know, what direction everything's pointing and making sure it just doesn't look bad. These are still not focal points and our background pieces, so it doesn't quite matter so much, but just kind of keeping in leading lines and where the eye is flowing. Sometimes it's nice to kind of imagine the focal point kind of curving up and down. Like the flow of this is kind of going up, so if I put it in contrast to that, it would look kind of weird, but if I put it along with that, then it starts to kind of have a flow and have a direction. So I'm just kind of trying to look to see what's already there and kind of building on it, or kind of start giving it some sort of direction. Because while I do want this to be very random, I do want it to look nice and be pleasing. I'm gonna take this sticker, so I'll just tear a little piece off. And I like this because it's just more that fun gold just peeking through. Okay, for these, some of these I can keep big like that, or I can cut them and just kind of have pieces of them as well on the sides or however I want to use them. So I'll use kind of a variety of these. And you don't have to cut them evenly, so this time I'm going to cut it so that there's one big piece and one little piece to kind of vary it up and make sure they're not all the same. Oh yeah, I'm still doing a tutorial. I forgot you were here. I was in the crafting zone. This is like one of the hardest talking tutorials I've ever done because I really just want to think, or not think. I guess I just want to not think and just craft. Okay, and then let's grab some of these other pieces, and I'm just gonna grab them and stick them somewhere. Okay, and then I will just kind of move into things with a little bit more personality, slowly kind of getting smaller and smaller, or if not smaller, then more detailed, maybe with some words, or something that's just a little louder and needs a little more attention. And I really try not to get too hung up on the background, like I said before, just really like cover it up and it's fine. It's serving its point and being kind of in the background if some peeks through, but we are just embellishing our little hearts out. And whatever we cover, then it's just too bad for that thing. Didn't make the cut. But lots of it will peek through, and it will make a big difference to have so many layers underneath. And whether you really see it shining through, or whether it's just like a hint of something in the background, there's just so much going on, and there's so much interest. And how many times am I gonna say dimension to texture? A million, I guess. I'll just keep saying it. And you could work from the top down or section by section. I kind of like just kind of putting it randomly, like working on like the sticker sheet that I'm gonna just kind of place randomly everywhere. You know, grab something and see where my heart tells me it should go. But yeah, there's no wrong way to do this. So if you wanted to work from the top down or a section at the time, or you can even just kind of make the main collage part underneath just as kind of a master board that you hold on to and collage later for when you need it. There's no wrong way to do a snippet roll. The only wrong way would be to not do it at all. That would be ridiculous. So now I'm going to look for things that are really attention grabbing. Words are a big one that really are a focal point because your eye goes right to them. Okay, that should be plenty of stuff. So I'm gonna kind of look at the bigger things that I might want to use and just kind of go biggest to smallest and just place it wherever I feel like needs something a little extra more. And I'll probably work in little clusters randomly throughout the page, but less spread out as before. So kind of like work on this little grouping and then make another little grouping because I want the pieces to start to kind of work together and look good together. Just doing like, you know, a little grouping of 2 or 3 or 4 things. Start bunching things a little bit closer together. I'm pretty sure we need to stick a chicken on there, right? Every snippet roll needs a chicken. Okay, so this part seems a little sparse, so let's work on that spot next. And right now there's not really a whole lot of rhyme or reason I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm just kind of grabbing and looking and sticking and hoping that my designer instincts will kick in. And if not, I'll just take what I can get. Oh, something else that you want to think of when you're doing this is we're going to want to cut it at certain places. So we're not going to be using the whole snippet roll. So I have kind of these lines here, 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 and see that little break? I'm probably not gonna put anything right there because that might be a good place to cut. Now I still want it to look good because maybe I need something longer and that's gonna be included in what I use, but I wanna give myself some opportunity to break and cut so that I can use things. Because we're probably not gonna cut it right in the middle of that camera or right in the middle of the word bloom, or especially this is like a hard little bumpy thing and it's very textury, so it'd be an awkward place to cut. And sometimes if you'd cut it, like the design would be, you know, in the very corner when you kind of want it to be laid out a little better. So, you know, doing it in small little clusters where there's room to cut will be really nice later when you're trying to actually use it. This is also a great way to like use up things that you like but don't love, or if you like have too much in your stash, or you know, don't know what to do with your scraps. I don't have the storage to just keep buying a million craft supplies, so gotta use it up so that I can get more. Creativity takes courage. I am so courageous right now for being creative. Yoop. See, this is another example of like, this is a good cutting spot. It's still interesting, so if we used that, it still is fine, like that's cute. But if we cut it there, then it's just a little more handy. And I will definitely have like areas of this that I love and areas of this that are fine and areas of this that maybe I'm like, I won't use that for anything too special. So I'll just keep letting my heart create and then just pick later which pieces I want to use. It's also kind of hard to know when to stop. I guess technically it doesn't ever have to end and I could just layer and layer and layer a million times and never end and just keep covering stuff. So I guess just keep crafting till you run out of time or run out of paper or you need to go to bed or whatever, because this is like the project that could never end. And make sure you have lots of butterflies handy because it really is just like my go-to. It matches any theme. These ones are really cute. I got them from scrapbook.com, which I'm an affiliate for scrapbook.com. Isn't that so cool? So I'll put the link below. If you guys shop with scrapbook.com and use my link, then I'll earn a small commission. So it's a win-win for everybody. You get cute scrapbook supplies and support my channel at the same time. Okay, how are you looking? Where are boring spots? That's a boring spot, and that's a boring spot, and that's a boring spot. So let's just cover those 3 boring spots and we'll call it a day. My sunshine. You Are My Sunshine is one of like the 4 songs I can play on my banjo. I got a banjo a couple years ago because I've always wanted to know how to play, and I learned a few songs just from, you know, YouTubing, but then I kind of got through all the really easy stuff, and now I think I need like an actual lessons or course or something a little more in order to progress. But someday my dream is to actually know how to play the banjo instead of have 4 memorized songs. But it is so fun to have 4 memorized songs and kind of be able to do something with it. When do I stop doing this? Can I ever pull myself away? I think we just craft the rest of our life. I think that this table is where I live now, and I just do this forever, and I will be working on this one project for eternity. But, okay. Is that decent? And there's nowhere terribly blank. So I think I am going to stop myself and just let it be right here. And look at it. That is so fun. So we're gonna actually leave it here today. Next week, we're gonna put it in our journal, and I'm gonna show you different ways of how I wanna implement this. So thank you so much for crafting with me. And if you make a snippet roll, or if you make anything from one of my tutorials, I would love to see it. You can tag me on Instagram at @KatesJunkJournals, or you can email me pictures or videos at katesjunkjournals@gmail.com. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.